Okay. Hello students. I just came from having lunch. And it's my favorite meal of the day. But I'm still kind of hungry. What about you, Alexandra? Did you have anything to eat at lunch today?
Yes, I ate spaghetti.
Really? What about you, Andrea? Did you have anything to eat?
I ate sandwiches.
Sandwiches? Oh,
Yeah.
I love sandwiches. Then Andrea, tell me, what's your favorite food?
Arepas.
Arepas? Really? How do you
Yeah.
make those?
Well, you put water in a bowl and you put some harina pan. You mix it all. You do circles with your hands and you put them in a pan
Okay. And what do you eat that with?
with cheese.
Cheese, good. What about you, Alexandra? What's your favorite food?
I love the pizza.
Pizza, really? How do you make that?
First, you expand the dough in a table, and then you add the sauce, tomato sauce, and then put the cheese and put in the oven.
Okay, so you put it in the oven. And what happens when it's in the oven?
Wait.
It cooks, right? It gets cooked,
Yes.
right? So you cook it. And what about the cheese in the arepas? How is it? Do you get a big chunk of cheese, or is it?
You cut a cheese.
A slice. You cut a slice, right? So you have cut. Well, as you can see here on the board, I wrote down some of the verbs you guys use during your explanation of what foods you like. And I got some of these verbs that really asked for my attention. Like, for example, put, mix, span, cook, cut. All of these verbs are used specifically for giving instructions when we cook, right? But there's a grammar behind it. It's called imperatives, right? In order to write a sentence in imperatives, what we do is we use the verb in the second person tense. For example, you cut the cheese, but instead of using the you just use the verb in the beginning of the sentence. For example, put the water to boil, right? Or mix the batter, right? Alexandra used span the dough. Or you can also use, for example, add the salt, or pour the oil, right? The difference between add and pour is that pour is usually used when we have a liquid, for example, oil. But usually when we have something that's not liquid, like salt or potatoes or onions, those things we use add for. Okay? You have also different verbs when it comes to mix. You can use mix or you can use beat, right? It depends on what kind of ingredients you have, but these are pretty much the verbs you're going to use. If you want to do the negative of it, if you want to say, instead of saying put the water to boil, you want to say that you don't want to put the water to boil, all you have to do is add don't at the beginning of the sentence. Don't put the water to boil. Or don't mix the batter. Don't cook too much. Or don't cut the cheese, for example, okay? So we know now that we use the imperatives at the beginning of the sentence as a second person verb form in the singular, in the present tense. For example, put the water, mix the batter, span, cook, cut. If we want to say we don't want to do that, we use don't at the beginning of the sentence, okay? Usually when we're giving a recipe, we do it in order of what becomes first and what comes second or what comes last. Okay? So now here on the table, as you can see, I brought with me some different ingredients, right? And tools. For example, a knife, a wooden spoon, a whisk. I have some salt, some pepper, onions, eggs, potatoes, oil. what I want you to do as a group is to create a recipe, right? Create a recipe using these ingredients. And I want you to narrate or tell us all the instructions that you're doing using the verbs we just learned, okay? Go ahead.
Well, we're going to do a Spanish tortilla. First, we cut the potatoes and the onion. And then you put it in a bowl. You pour the oil in a pan.
Okay. And what do we do with the oil when it's in the pan?
You heat it up.
You heat it up, right? You warm it up. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Grab the eggs in a bowl and mix it.
Okay, you mix it. Good.
Then you put the potatoes and the onions in the oil.
Okay.
And wait until they are soft. Then you put this in the bowl with the eggs.
Okay, with everything together.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and you mix it again.
Okay.
Everything. Add the salt and some pepper.
And the pepper. Good.
And then you put everything in a pan.
Okay. You put everything in here.
And wait till they are cooked, and you have to enjoy it.
And you enjoy it, you eat it, okay? Do you eat it cold or do you eat it hot?
Hot.
Hot?
Or cold.
Or cold. You can eat it, it doesn't matter.
No.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, now you can sit down. Okay, I'm going to sum up a little bit. Like you were saying, you can cut the onions. Also, remember I talked about different verbs when we used mix and beat? And we use different verbs like add and pour. They kind of mean the same thing, but not exactly the same thing. For cutting, for example, we also have another verb that's called chop. Okay? You can chop something when you want it smaller. When you cut something, for example, you cut it into slices, you use bigger slices. But when you want to chop it, so when you want it really, really small, okay? Okay, so I'm going to sum up a little bit. As you can see, we use it at the beginning of the verb, of the sentence, I'm sorry. You make sure that you have the negative if you want to use it always before the verb. You never use a subject, okay? You don't use, for example, a pronoun like I, you, we, they. You don't use those in the imperatives, okay? You only use the verb. It's already understood that you have a person behind it because it's always said in the second person tense, okay? As a you, okay? Is that understood?
Yes.
And you always say it in an order as how you did, for example, in the order that you're gonna cook it. You're not gonna start by cooking it and before cutting it, and not saying that you cut it before. Okay? Is that understood?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.